Hey guys, this is Rich with Fantasy Knuckleballers. I'm here with my bud Aaron. We're here to talk a little bit about baseball. We're going to talk some National League, minor league prospects. We're going to focus on pitching today, and then we're also going to talk about Turds of the Week. Some hitters that maybe are not doing so well, and some pitchers that are not doing so well. So let's kick it off. Let's talk a little bit about National League pitching prospects. In the
I
top,
should
yeah, go ahead.
let me interject something. So, just for everybody who's been following us from week to week, we are doing something much different than we normally do. Some of the feedback, and there's a lot of sites out there that does starts of the week and waivers and all that. And so, to keep us from being redundant in that regard, we decided to mix it up and do something different. And this will be this will give you another opportunity, another venue to consume fantasy information, but in a different way. And like I said, we hope that you enjoy this and hope it's something different and something that you can tune into more often. And it breaks up um, our show from the rest and makes us a little bit different that you can enjoy.
All
Go ahead.
right. Okay, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about prospects. Today, we're going to focus on National League pitching prospects. We're going to go over the top 100, which there are 15 National League pitching prospects in the top 100. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the guys outside the top 100. But really, we wanted to kind of review and see where those guys were, how they were doing this year, and then maybe where we would rank them. Would we keep them in the spot they are, drop them, or move them up? Kind of a re-ranking, kind of a redraft, as you will. But we're going to start off talking about the top five is minor league pitchers, and the top five guys is Mackenzie Gore, Sixto Sanchez, Max Mayer, Matthew Liberatore, and five Quinn Priester out of Pittsburgh. Those are the top five guys in the National League according to ranking. And when you look at it, the number one guy is Mackenzie Gore. He's everybody's favorite guy. He's plus tools. He's 22 years old. He's number 6 overall in MLB rankings for starting pitching. But if you look at how his start is so far the 2021 season, it's kind of, to be honest, it's not good. He's got an ERA over 5. He's averaged about a strikeout per inning. He's walking way too many guys. He's got 10 walks in 16 innings. The results don't match the tools. If you look at him, he's a plus guy. Still got time to be there. But in my mind, he's not a number one starting pitcher right now. He's a guy to stop, to watch. But if I'm looking at him, I'm putting him at the back of the top 10 as far as National League pitchers. Number 2 guy, Sixto Sanchez. He's been hurt. He came up last year, pitched great. He produces some weak contact, doesn't miss enough bats really to be a true number 1, but could be a really good number 2, kind of like your guy, Alcantara, who started out and pitched really great this year. His profile is a lot like Alcantara. He's already proven himself at the major league level, but he's been hurt. So right now, at least the news coming out that I hear is he's probably not going to pitch to July. So he's a wait and see guy for that. I'm going to drop him a few spots. Max Mayer, number 3 overall pick last year. He's number 22 overall in MLB. He's got a 70 fastball with a 70 slider. He's at AA, which is, if you can pitch at AA, you can pitch at the majors. So far, he's looked really good. 23 innings, 22 Ks, less than 2 ERA, right around a 1 whip. Great start. He still looks promising. I would keep him in the top 5. Number 4, Matthew Liberatore, age 21, so he's young, Mainly people know him because he is the guy the Cardinals the Cardinals got back from the Randy Arozarena trade. I don't think he would be in the top 30, which is where he's ranked in prospects, if not for that trade. So far this year, he's had 4 game starts. He's had 21 innings, 19 Ks, an ERA above 5, a whip 1.3. To me, he's not at the level that you expect a number 30 overall prospect at MLB. While he's still young and still a big guy, I'm not sure I'd put him on my top 100. I might put him outside the top 100 because there's better prospects to look at. And number 5, Quinn Priester, right-handed pitcher. He's pitching at A plus, high A. He's only 20 years old. He's the number 40 overall prospect. He grades out with a high 60 fastball, 60 curveball. He's pitched well. He has a 3.18 ERA. He's got 17 innings, 14 Ks. I like him, but again, I'm not sure I'm putting him in the top 5. He's a prospect that could grow into the top 5, but at this point, I don't see him there. And number 6, Josiah Gray for the Dodgers, right-handed pitcher, 23, at AAA. He's the number 45 overall prospect, has a great 60 grade fastball, 55 slider. So far, he's pitched really well. He hasn't pitched a lot. Only has 5 innings, 10 Ks, but he's done everything that you want to do. He's number 2, number 3 potential, depending on how you feel about him. The problem with the Dodgers, they have a lot of great pitching. So when does he get the call up? I like Josiah Gray, but I really like the guys that kind of fall in that 7 through 15 range a lot as well. So I like him. I would still probably put him in the 7 to 10 range or 6 to 10 range. But I'm just wondering when is he going to get the opportunity with the Dodgers? I kind of feel like it's going to be at the end of this year. What do you
But
think, Aaron?
I think we kind of already seen him just very briefly. Had a short cup of coffee last year, I think it was. Um, but I do like Josiah Gray. There's a lot of upside there, but you mentioned it there. Uh, the Dodgers have a lot of pitching there, and the opportunity. And let's face it, when we talk about minor league players and in the relationship to fantasy, you're kind of looking at, okay, what's the odds that these players are going to be, in the major leagues like this year or in the near future, because their fantasy value hinges on, their ability to make it to the majors and, be an asset. So, like I said, a lot of these players, it's going to be a couple years, and, assuming that this is a dynasty league you're in, you're going to hold on to these players for a while. And I think Josiah Gray is going to maybe suffer a little bit because of the how good the Dodgers are. But with that being said, um, he is a trade candidate coming up, so he could always get traded out of LA or maybe to another LA team um, for prospects or for an impact bat to put the Dodgers over. So there are opportunities there. But yeah, I do like Gray quite a bit. Mackenzie Gore, I've been high on him for a couple of years, and the fact that he's having control issues and he's hadn't seen the major league uh, game in those couple of years when the Padres were clearly in the need of starting pitching. They skipped a lot of pitchers. Um, they skipped Magor for a lot of different pitchers, and the fact that they did that really worries me. So I personally, on my rankings, move him down quite a bit. I love Sanchez. He showed what he could do. Yes, he's injured. Depending on the league, if you're looking to for next year, as far as if you're not competing this year and you want to basically stock up for next year already, Sanchez is probably a good option for you because this year's probably in the bag, and he's probably not going to contribute that much. So if you can get him, stash him for next year, if your league allows that, that would be highly beneficial. I do like Max Meyer more this year. You've said it. He's a really quality pitcher, a high prospect. Libertor, I'm really high on him. I think he could potentially make an appearance this year.
Do you really? Because I just don't see it. So
It's about need too. It's about how well they're pitching. Where they are at in their development. Yeah, he's only 21, but you know Carlos Martinez has been a big question mark. They've got Wainwright out there. Yeah, he's been pitching well, but he is almost 40. Um, and they have a lot of other. Flaherty's going to be out quite some time. They may be pressed into giving him a look sooner than they wanted to. So, like I said, I kind of keeping him in my back pocket as a potential call up here, especially if things start to go south on him. I think the Flaherty injury is really going to put the pressure on them to to do something. Either like bring up somebody like Libertor or potentially even making a trade. Personally, if I were them, like if he's pitching well in the minors, like go ahead and promote him and give him a shot.
well, so far he hasn't pitched that well. I mean, I'm with you. He's a big guy. He's a lefty. Am I right?
Yeah.
He's got a 60 grade fastball, 60 grade curveball, 55 grade changeup. So that takes care. He's got something for the righties, got something for the lefties. But so far the numbers haven't matched it. I'm a numbers guy, and he hasn't produced those numbers yet. That doesn't mean he can't make it, but I want to see him produce.
Yeah, I agree. It would be a lot easier to swallow that if he was pitching a little bit better. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he, put together a couple good
You
games.
taking one guy out of this list, Aaron, or two guys out of this list. Who are they? And you're going to hold them for the next 4 years, and they're going to help you win.
Next 4 years,
Let's say the next five. Which two?
probably Sanchez, Myers, Josiah Gray, definitely, and probably Sanchez, and yeah, probably Sanchez. Those are probably my two picks. I'm close to Meyer, but I think Gray and Sanchez over the next 4 years.
I think I would go Meyer Sanchez. I love what the Marlins do with their pitching. They really do a great job developing. But yeah, those are two guys. But there's actually some guys coming up on the next six that I like better.
All right. Speaking of that, let's go there now.
All right, on the next list, these are the guys that are 7 through 12. We got Nick
I think
Delodo.
Lodo.
We got Braylon Marquez for the Cubs. We got Edwin Cabrera for the Marlins again. We got Hunter Green for your Reds, Matt Allen for the Mets, and Mick Abel for the Phillies. I think the number one guy there's two guys I'm excited, and they're both Reds, and there's a couple other guys that are interesting. But I think Lodo, he's at Double A. He's age 23. Number 46 overall prospect. This guy has a 55 grade fastball, 55 grade changeup, 55 grade slider, and a 60 control. And that's what I love. In 5 games at Double A, which if you can pitch at Double A, you can pitch in the majors. He's got 26 innings, 38 Ks, only 6 walks, an ERA at 1.01, and a WHIP at 0.82. He's a 6'6 lefty. He was the first pitcher picked in the 2019 draft. He deserves, in my mind, to be in the top three MLB starting pitcher prospects based on performance and stuff. I love this guy. I wish I had him as a keeper in my league right now. Number two, Braylon Marquez. He's at Double A. He's only 22. He's number 47 overall. The thing everybody loves about him is he's got an 80 grade fastball. He's a lefty that throws over 100, and that's rare. He hasn't played in 2021 so far. He could be a high end closer if he doesn't make it as a front end starter. It really depends on his changeup and control. He's still young enough to have time, but he's a guy that you're going to have to wait on a little bit. Number three, Edwin Cabrera. He's at AAA, hasn't pitched so far. Number 54 overall prospect. Scouting says he's got a 65 fastball, 60 slider, and a 55 changeup. And just to tell you about the grading scale, anything above 50 is above average. A 60 is a plus. He's been out all or most of 2020 and all of 2021. He's 6'5". He has electric stuff. I was listening to a podcast the other day talking with a Marlin insider, and they were saying that based on stuff, he's as good as anybody in the Marlins organization. That includes the starting pitchers they have now, Pablo Lopez, Trevor Rogers, or Sandy Alcantara. But it's a question of health. So to me, I'm waiting on him. Then the fourth guy is another guy that I'm really excited about, Hunter Green. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's at Double A. He's only 21. He was a big-time prospect, came out hot, then disappeared with TJ arm surgery. His scouting says he has an 80 grade fastball, which only a few people have that. It's really about development for him, but so far this year, in 28 and a third innings, he has 41 strikeouts, a 1.91 ERA, a 0.95 whip. He has an electric fastball, one of the best in the game. If he wanted to be a closer, he would be Jordan Hicks plus. His development really as a starting pitcher depends on him continuing to develop that cutter or changeup. Right now, I would put him in my top three if we were re-ranking this today as a starting pitcher. Maybe number one if you're looking at upside. I might go Lodo just because I think his floor is higher. Next pitcher is Matt Allen. Great high school prospect. Started out hot. Has the tools. Got hurt this year with TJ surgery. We got to wait. Number 12, and I really have tried to avoid talking about guys that are in A ball, but it's Mick Albel. I think he had a plan to go to Oregon, and the Phillies was able to sign him. He's number 62 prospect, has good fastball, above average slider and changeup. 5 starts. He's done a great job. He's kept his ERA. It's solid, not great. He's got a good start to his career. He's only 19 at A ball. I think you're looking at a long-term play with Abel. I'm kind of on those guys at A ball. There's lots of guys that show good things at A ball, but then can't follow up when they go to high A or double A. So for me, Mick Albel's probably not in my top 10 or top 12, but he's a solid prospect. He's definitely somebody to look at. Who are you excited about on this list?
Well, obviously, being a Reds fan, like Hunter Green and Lodo is like high up on my list of excitement. Uh, as much as I want to see them in the bigs this year, I really hope that the Reds, maintain their development and don't rush them. They have kind of a little bit of history of that with Homer Bailey. That was probably the last, um, big time pitching prospect that they've had that they developed all the way through the minors. And like that, with him, I think they rushed him quite a bit, and as a result, I don't think it took him several years to start pitching at the level he's capable of, and like even that it wasn't, at times it was up and down. he did have some good seasons, but you know, it's kind of what if, like what if they didn't bring him up that early, and what if they didn't? Did they stun his development, or are we just being too, are we coddling the players too much? So yeah, as being a Reds fan, I'm really high on the two Reds players. I do really like Edward Cabrera as well. As you were saying, Miami seems to have a plethora of pitching, which is probably one reason that they were able to trade Zach Gallen a couple years ago. It does look like, everybody was saying that, hey, how in the world do you trade a pitcher like Zach Gallen? And apparently, they do know what they're doing because Jazz Chisholm has been pretty studly in his major league games so far this year. So, like I said, for a team that has as much pitching as they do, like it definitely wasn't a bad deal. Here's my
Yeah,
cat.
one of the things that hey Kitty, one of the things that excites me is when you do a deep dive in these teams. Miami is very deep. I mean, they might have 7 or 8 starting pitchers that are going to be on their roster that were top 50 prospects, and we haven't even got. I'm leaving one guy off that we're going to talk about outside the top 100, but I mean, and they do a good job of developing those pitchers. I mean, I think if you look at the Reds, when I did a deep dive on the Reds, if you throw Hunter Green, Nick Lodi in there, Nick Lodella, and then you throw in Tyler Molly, you throw in Sonny Gray, you throw in Luis Castillo. I mean, and they've got another guy that's pitching really well at AAA, Tony Santillan, who
Yeah.
pitched great, then kind of fell off, and now he's back pitching really good at AAA. He's going to be starting in the major leagues before the end of the year. I mean, I like them probably if they can stay healthy, not this year, but maybe next year or the year after. And then, when you're looking at starting pitching, I put the Dodgers in the top 5 of young pitching, along with, Cincinnati, along with the Dodgers. And then you could still say the Braves have a lot of young pitching. I would put the Marlins first when you're looking at National League. But if you look at that, there's lots of good pitchers right there.
Well, we even not even talking about Vladimir Gutierrez. That's made 2 starts for them so far, and gave him 5 innings of giving up 1 and 2 runs respectively. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he does walk a little bit more than you'd like. But he hasn't given up a lot of hits, and he did get his first win of the year last night. So um, even like a lower ranked guy like Gutierrez, maybe pitching's not a bad thing. Maybe the Reds are not as hard up for pitching as we originally thought, and that's kind of what's holding that team back right now is pitching, because their hitting is definitely marks above their pitching at this point.
Well, I mean, they're an interesting team as to what happens next year, and are
Yeah.
they going to be big time sellers this year? But they have a lot of pitching, young pitching, and it's really a matter of can they stay healthy, and then what are they going to do with all these position players, because they definitely got to get a shortstop somewhere, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Castellanos, and is Suarez going to be there long term, or is Moustakas going to be there long term? I mean, they have some interesting questions this year as to what they do and how they revamp their roster, but they could be a really interesting team over the next 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. But as far as the other players on your list, you're right. Like a hard throwing lefty is pretty much money. But I do like Mick Abel. Like I said, I do like him as a prospect. He's probably a long ways away because like single A is a long way from the majors. So you're looking at probably 3 years minimum, and that is if he doesn't have to get TJ or anything like that. Like I said, Hunter Green's been in the. It seems to me, being a Reds fan, that it's been a long time ago since he was drafted second by the Reds.
I thought the same thing.
It seems like a long time ago. So, like I said, Abel is probably going to be a ways off.
I totally agree.
All right. Let's go to your next one here.
All right. I'm going to talk about the next three guys that are in the top 100, and then we'll talk about some people outside the top 100. Cade Cabelli for Washington, Seth Corey for San Francisco, Jackson Rutledge for Washington. I'm going to start with the worst of the bunch, Jackson Rutledge. He's a 6'8", 245 guy that has a 70 grade fastball, and that's why he's on this list. He can't throw strikes, though. So right now he's at high A. He's not throwing strikes. He's got the tools, but he can't satisfy. I think that's a song.
I was thinking the same thing.
But anyway, Seth Corey, another guy at high A. He's with San Francisco. They do a good job developing pitchers. He's got three good pitchers. He's got good numbers right now at high A. He walks too many batters, so really his development depends on command. So he's a wait and see. The guy I'm really excited about on this list is Cade Cabelli. He's in high A. He's age 22. He was listed coming in the season as number 82 overall MLB. I really believe he's going to be top 40, top 30 come mid-season or end of the year report. He's a guy that has a 60 fastball, a 60 curveball, a 55 slider, and a 55 changeup. That's four different pitches that rate above average. If you look at his starts so far this year, he's got 27 and 2/3 innings with 45 strikeouts, a 1.63 ERA, and a 0.98 whip. I mean, to me, he's a guy that's going to move fast. He had health issues in high school and in college, so he hasn't pitched a lot. But I could see him at AA level, probably pitching at least 10 starts in AA, and next year, at some point up in the majors. But I really think this is a guy that's going to move up fast. All right, then I wanted just to break it down and just talk about a couple guys outside the top 100. The first guy I actually had never heard of, his name is Jake Eder. He's at AA for the Marlins. He's only age 22. He was only coming into the season to rank the number 24th prospect. He was a fourth round draft pick out of Vandy, but he was actually projected to be a second round draft pick coming into the season, but his stuff backed up. But then he came out, spent 2020 season at the alternative site. Now in 2021, he's balling at AA. He's actually outperforming Max Mayer. And just from what I heard off the podcast, I haven't watched him, but he's 24 and 2/3 innings, 42 strikeouts, a 0.79 ERA, and a 0.97 whip. So, and he's outperforming the number 22 overall prospect that is his teammate there with the Marlins. I mean, this is a guy that's going to probably break into the top 100 just because he's only 22 pitching at AA. And it's not like he wasn't a prospect. He pitched at Vandy. Like I said, a lot of people projecting to be a late first round, second round pick, and just didn't work out that 2020 season. So I'm really high on him as a sleeper. A couple other guys I really like. The Dodgers do a great job developing pitchers. If you want to go and look at these guys' stats, Bobby Miller's at high A, pitching great. Ryan Pepiot, he's at double A, pitching great. He's their number seventh. He's their seventh prospect. Miller's their fifth prospect. Pepiot has like 17 innings, 25 Ks. Louis Frias is pitching at AA. He's at Arizona. He's another guy that I'm really high on. If you look at him, he grades out with a 65 grade fastball and a 60 grade curveball. He's in 25 innings. He has 31 Ks. a low ERA and a 0.94 whip. He's a big guy, 6'3". He's only the number 9 prospect in Arizona, but I think that's going to change because when he has this stuff, it's been a matter of putting it together. This might be a guy that's finally putting it together. Arizona has several of those prospects. A couple of guys at AA, Slade Ciccone, and
Yeah.
Bryce Jarvis. They're both at high A, producing really well. They're both a little older. They're 22, 23 years old, but they're really performing at a high level. I'm kind of curious to see what's going on in Arizona because they have a lot of really good prospects. Tucker Davidson from my Atlanta Braves, he came out. He pitched last night, by the way, pitched great. He said got 2 starts this year and it's pitched great. He had 3 starts at AAA with like a less than 1 ERA out of 3 starts. So you got to like him. Just to throw in another guy that was not a prospect to kind of keep an eye on, there's a guy named Ethan Elliott at high A. He's a little old. He's 24 years old. He's not even a ranked prospect. But if you look at him in 25 innings, he has 31 Ks. I mean, you got to look at that. And then, one guy I really like that I'm kind of following for our league, Aaron, is Tony Santillan at AAA.
Sentinella. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay. At AAA for your Reds, he's only the number 9 prospect, but he's kind of one of those guys that was a prospect, went to AA, had some good numbers, then things kind of backed up on him, and now he's came back. And in 25 innings, he's got 32 Ks. I like that guy. He's somebody to follow. I think he's going to be a good pitcher.
Yeah, I
Go
agree.
ahead. And I don't.
Oh, so one thing going through these lists that really kind of stick out to me, and probably to a lot of the viewers, there's only the same teams have the majority of these players. Miami, LA, Arizona, and Cincinnati, like I said, seem to be, they're doing something right with their pitching. They're drafting and developing these guys, and pitching wins games, and just like defense wins football games, pitching wins you games. So I think the future of these teams are very bright, and you know, considering like our teams are on here, like it's a good thing to have this many good pitching prospects. Next week we'll look at the hitting prospects and see which teams have the leg up there. But yeah, these are very good list. And one I will also say too about Atlanta. Atlanta's had so many good pitching prospects over the last like 4 or 5 years, and they've
Yes.
held on to pretty much all of them. And with the exception of a couple, Ian Anderson and Mike Soroka,
Max
like
Fried, who they, traded
Max
for,
Fried.
but yeah,
They traded for Max Fried. Like
they
they
traded for
haven't
him. They developed him.
they've kind of stunk. Like it's too early to say anything about Tucker Davidson, but they've not really done all that great in the majors. It would tempt me as a Braves GM or fan, like, to kind of want to package some of these good prospect pitchers for a lot more a proven bat, a proven pitcher, to push them over the hump to get them further along in the playoffs and possibly even a World Series. I would be tempted if I had this kind of talent and had this kind of luck out of the talent that I had. I'm just kind of throwing that one out there.
No, I agree, and it kind of concerns you about their player development because they have several really good guys. I mean, you're talking about Newman or Newcomb.
Yeah.
Newcomb came up, was a big time prospect, walked too many guys. Guess what he still does? Walk too many guys.
Duke Nukem.
You look at Kyle Mueller, who's their number 4 overall prospect in the Braves organization, and I like him, but guess what he does? He walks too many guys. So I don't know. You had Kyle Wright, who was a big time prospect, didn't develop. I'm kind of with you. You would have thought that more of these pitchers would have came out and performed with as how many they had, that come through the organization. It does seem like maybe the Marlins, maybe the Dodgers have done a better job in player development.
Yeah, at least in the higher levels of the organization.
And it looks like, I think it's a new thing for talking about your Reds, but it really looks like, the Reds hired a bunch of driveline folks, and it really looks like that is paying dividends when you look at like players that are not prospects and then all of a sudden they show up. TJ Anton, for example. When you look at Tyler Molly, he was kind of to be honest, he was a guy that you kind of forgot about. And then all of a sudden he becomes a good pitcher. So, and then TJ Anton, he was a guy I never even heard of. And now he's a big part of your bullpen going forward. And then you look at the young guys, the way they're performing at AA. And let's be honest, at least with Hunter Green, he's never performed at that level, even though he's had the stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of pitching and their performances and that is, we're kind of at the end of your pitchers. Might be a good platform, springboard to jump off into a slightly different topic as far as what Major League Baseball is doing about cracking down on foreign substances for pitchers. And, they recently confiscated Trevor Bauer's hat. They confiscated Gallegos' hat for the Cardinals because of foreign substance on the hat. And that's one of their relievers that's been dynamite in the Cardinals bullpen. Joe West took that one, and apparently, like, there's been word coming down from baseball that MLB is going to start cracking down on foreign substances on baseballs. And I guess the theory is that's why spin rates of baseballs have been so high, is because of these foreign substances. And apparently, like, the issue is that, baseball is cracking down on that. Maybe that will, produce a little bit more runs, I guess, in which it very well could. So I think the New York Times had this article about Garrett Cole's most recent start. So Garrett Cole has been known for a very high spin rate for most of his career, and that word came down about Major League Baseball cracking down earlier this week. So last night in the game against Tampa, he goes out, pitches 5 innings, gives up 5 runs. He still has 7 Ks, but the spin rate on his baseball was considerably slower than it has been all year, which is probably one reason why he gave up 5 runs. But it might be something that we have to kind of monitor as we go forward. If baseball is cracking down on foreign substances, who is that going to hurt more? Is it, Gallegos? Obviously, he's it seems to be that he's benefiting from the foreign substances and spin rates. I know we've talked about Cincinnati and the Giants improving their spin rates. I don't know whether that is due to foreign substances or not, but it could perhaps. But anyhow, what do you think as far as like spin rates and the foreign substances? What does that mean to the average fantasy owner?
I don't really know. It's a good question. We say that it's due to spin rate that we have all these more strikeouts. I also think a lot of it has been umpires are calling the higher strike. MLB changed the strike zone. So what used to be a ball is now considered a strike, and a lot of guys are getting struck out on high fastballs because they can't catch up to them. So it kind of goes along with the spin rate, but I feel like that's a factor. Um, I'm not sure. I think you have to look at the guys that really benefited. I mean, Garrett Cole was one, and he started doing that in Houston. I think you got to look at those teams that seem to emphasize that a lot. But for me, it's kind of a wait and see. I don't really have a. I'm not sure I would factor that into my decision about a pitcher right now because I just don't
Yeah,
think I have enough information.
yeah, it definitely something to watch, and it's something that we don't really know. I think there's a good chance it affects certain pitchers more than others. I think every pitcher out there, you know, that puts something on the ball, whether it's even rosin to the point, helps them grip the baseball a little bit better. So I think every pitcher out there, does something to help improve his grip on the baseball. And this foreign substances thing is going to definitely, hurt some pitchers more than others. And you're right, it's going to be a wait and see. Um, if I had Garrett Cole, I'd be tempted to sell high depending on where I was in the standings. But it's just something to think about. But anyhow, kind of off topic there. So as promised, we are going to do something different. All of our previous shows, we were talking about, future games. What do we predict for the upcoming week? Who the waiver pickups, who the best two-start pitchers. Let's do something different. We're going to talk about turds of last week, or at least the last 7 days. So I've got our nominees for turds of the week. We're going to have a turd pitcher and a turd hitter. And I'm going to present the nominees, and Rich and I will decide the winners. So Eisen Diaz for Miami. He was 1 for 15 in the last 7 days, 5 strikeouts. He's been struggling for playing time and trying to get some at bats, trying to push some of these other players that the Marlins have, and 1 for 15 ain't getting it done. Will Craig, first baseman for Pittsburgh, he came up because of injuries over the last week. He went 3 for 17, 6 strikeouts, and if you're watching this video, you probably have seen the video of Will Craig versus the Cubs. A lot of people are already saying that it's the worst play ever in Major League history, which is saying something because it's 140 years old or something along that line.
It can't be that, but I think there's worse. But keep going.
Well, like I said, it is pretty bad. I think everybody who watched the video feels sorry for the guy because I'll guarantee he'll never make that same play again. It's Bill Buckner-esque. If it was a playoff game, a deciding playoff game, that would put it at the level of Bill Buckner. But it's Bill Buckner-esque. Stephen Duggery got 10 Ks in his last 21 at bats. That's pretty bad. He does have a 381 average. That's kind of his redeeming thing. It's kind of like an all or nothing for him. Jarrett Kelnick, we've talked a lot about exciting young rookie. Maybe it's not a bad thing that, Seattle kept him in the minors for a little bit. 12 Ks, 0 for 20. He's not had a good week. He's still young. He's still learning the game. He's still trying to figure it out. 0 for 20, 12 Ks. That's not good. Nate Lowell, 1 for 16 with 9 Ks. I will say I had to add some points for him to be the turd because at least 3 of those games were played in Colorado. If you're going to hit anywhere, Colorado should be it. Going 1 for 16 during that stretch, that's not good. And the big man in New York making all the money, Giancarlo Stanton, 1 for 16 only 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. That's if you want to calculate the dollar amount per at bat or per hit during that time, it's going to be astronomical. And the guy that we always love to talk about, Randy Arozarena, 4 for 24. Those 4 hits were all singles with 12 strikeouts. Not a good week for him either. And then I had to throw Brad Miller on there too because I know we've talked about Brad Miller being, a waiver wire pickup over the last couple weeks. And, to be fair, to be honest with our viewers, we gotta bring up where we were wrong in 2 for 15 with 9 strikeouts. Not a good waiver pickup for anyone. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I like this list. I will tell you, I think the worst probably has to go to Will Craig. I mean, he had a bad week. He had the bad error. He got sent down to AAA. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he comes back and does good things. To me, the worst that I wanted to name the worst was Gerald Kelnick because everybody was saying, pick this guy up, pick this guy up. He's a must add. He's a must add. He goes 0 for 20 for 12 Ks. He's going to be a great baseball player, but that might be the worst. And then for me, you might can make this one the worst. Giancarlo Stanton 1 for 16, 9 Ks, making 320 million. I'm with you. You got to give him a hard time. So those would be my top 3.
Yeah, that error, like I said, I'll try to post a link to that video of Will Craig and that error, like just so everyone is on the same page. It's a god awful error. Like he had an easy play at first base. All he had to do was touch the bag. Javi Baez apparently got in his head. Running to first base is a force out. All he had to do was step on the base, and ended up running Javi Baez home. And then, yeah, like I said, watch the video. It's a really bad play. But like I said, I feel sorry for the guy. He's trying to make it. He has a name for himself now, at least in baseball circles. I think Stanton's up there. Rosarena's up there. I think my top 3 is Kelnick, Lowell, and Stanton. I'd probably lean a little bit towards Kelnick as my turn of the week.
60% strikeout rate isn't gonna get it done, but he's too good a player. He's gonna bounce. He's gonna show what he can do.
All right. So you want? Are we on board like Kelnick for the turn of the week?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
All right.
either he or Stanton. I'm with you.
Oh, like one day I'll guarantee you, like one week this year, he will be our stud of the week. But this week he's our turn of the week.
Yeah.
All right. Our pitchers. First one is Madison Bumgarner. This is over the last 10 days because with pitchers you kind of have to take a little bit bigger sample size. 12 innings, 21 hits, 12 ERA. Yeah, not a very good whip. David Peterson. He's kind of a tale of 2 games there. 6.6 in the 3rd innings. 6 innings within 1 game. The other game was like the 1/3 of an inning where he gave up 5 runs. He had a disastrous start this week. So for the last 2 starts, 11 ERA, 2.2 WHIP. Not a good start for him. Eduardo Rodriguez, he was pretty high on a lot of lists this year. 8.8 and 2/3 innings, 12 hits, over a 10 ERA. Chase Anderson, I think most of those innings came in relief. 5 and 2/3, 8 hits, 9.5 ERA. If he got kicked out of the rotation because of poor outings, and he moves to the bullpen and he has more bad outings, he's going to be out of the bullpen here before too long. Anthony DeSclafani, he put this on there. This is a guy who tore up the league early in the year, the first 2 months. phenomenal pitcher. One of the main reasons why the Giants were in first place. But last two starts, 13 and a third, 18 hits, almost a 9.5 ERA. Drew Smiley from your Braves is on my fantasy team earlier this year. Last two starts, 9 2/3 innings, over a 9 ERA and a 1.5 WHIP. And then Dylan Bundy, he was the man last year. He had a phenomenal year, helped Angels quite a bit. This year, he's having problems. 8 innings in his last two starts, 10 hits, 9 ERA. There's a lot. I specifically chose players that were on fantasy teams that were fantasy relevant that got drafted. So these were all, quality players, pitchers, supposedly having really bad weeks. What do you think, Rich?
Well, for me, this one's easy. I mean, he's a guy I like to watch play or pitch. Madison Bumgarner. I love to watch him hit. I've loved to watch him pitch. I liked him in San Francisco, but sometimes he comes across as an asshole. When he's
Sometimes.
on the mound, he's like, I'm the bully. If you hit one on me, you better run around the bases or I'm going to yell at you and throw the ball at you. He had some bad games. Unfortunately, it looks like he might be hurt. I hope he's not, but for me, it's easy. It's Bumgarner's number one. What about you?
Yeah, I'll have to say I own David Peterson, and that last start on Thursday was really, really bad. Let me pull up the line here. He 1/3 of an inning, he gave up 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 earned runs.
That was against my Braves, was it?
No, that
Was
was
it?
against Arizona,
Okay.
a last place team.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that,
the bad
that
thing about that game was the Mets staked him to an early 4-0 lead in the top of the first, and he comes in the bottom of the first and just gives them all back +1. So yeah, they did end up winning that game, but it was in spite of him. And the time before that, he pitched against Colorado at home and gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. It was a quality start, but wasn't a great outing.
I mean, to me, the other guy that really hurt some teams, I know everybody was starting Tony Disco, and
Oh
he
yeah,
stunk it up last week when you look at it. 13 innings, 18 hits, 9.45 ERA. Yeah, that was pretty bad because I know he was on a lot of teams.
yeah, that was against the Dodgers on the 23rd. Gave up 10 runs in 2 2/3 inning. Yeah, that'll leave a mark. And he pitched much better yesterday against the Cubs, giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. But yeah, that 10 runs against the Dodgers will leave a mark. Um, yeah, like I said, personally, I'm with you. I don't really like. I've not been a big fan of Bumgarner, so I'm not. He is kind of a punk. Um, I'm not putting. I'm not. He's not my turn of the week because I had low expectations for him.
That's a good point. I mean, you make a good point there.
I would probably go with Disco there. Um, you know, giving up 10 runs against the Dodgers as well as he's pitched this year. Nobody was expecting that. Even David Peterson, like he pitched gems and then he pitched turds, and it's been one or the other with him. So you didn't expect it against Arizona, but like I said, to me, like Disco, like that one definitely hurt. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was against a good team, the Dodgers, but still, you'd expect a little bit better than that.
you're right. I think you could probably say Disco or Eduardo Rodriguez probably came that I think those are the ones that probably came out of nowhere. But I'm with you, Madison Bumgarner. The only good I will tell you this, I believe he's the grandson of James Garner. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes. James Garner came from Oklahoma and his last name's Bumgarner. And he changed it to Garner. Just a
Hmm,
little known fact.
interesting. Nice.
but still a punk. I'm with you.
I agree. So yeah, we'll give it to Disco this week in the turd outing against the Dodgers there, and like I said, nobody was expecting that. So those are our turds of the week. Kelnick and uh, Anthony DiScafani. We'll have new turds next week. If you guys want to leave a message in the chat, tell us who your turds of the week are. I'll be happy to talk about them. Send us a tweet, send us a message, and like I said, tell us who you would vote for. Anything else you want to add there, Rich?
Yeah, I think next week we're going to talk about NL prospect hitters and kind of review the top 100, see who's hot, who's cold, who started out great, who took a step back, who's moving forward on the list. There's a couple of guys, and if you look at Arizona, they're one of those teams that seems to be having a lot of prospects that are developing, that are young, that double A level right now. They have two or three guys right now that look like they could be stars.
I think in addition to the turds of the week, we'll have player of the week potentially as well. Like I said, give those turds the opportunity to shine and at least talk about that one. So we'll try to do that next week as well. And like I said, tell us, give us feedback, tell us what you think, tell us if we got the turds wrong, and any other show comments. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. You can email us at mvp@fantasyknuckleballers.com. You follow us at Twitter at fknuckleballers, or check out our site at fantasyknuckleballers.com. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next week.